So, Wife Material Podcast, Episode 2, Relationships are Jobs. Some people just look at relationships, mostly women, as something you do once in a while. Like you'll date a guy that you meet, you like him, y'all got things in common and whatnot. He makes you feel good in certain ways, and you spend time with him. That's how most women look at relationships. But the thing is it's actually a job, because you got to realize that you are taking time out of this man's life to pay attention to you, to be around you. And you know how it is, right? Because it's not free to go to work, right? You got to pay to go to work. Whether you pay somebody to drive you to work, or you take public transportation, you got a car, you pay gas, and so forth and so forth, Uber, whatever. You got to pay for your lunch and, breakfast and all that stuff. And you got bills to pay. And the list just goes on. Cleaning your clothes, your work clothes, buying your work clothes, in case, let's say you normally wear, sweatshirts and jeans, but the job you have requires you to wear like a suit and tie or something. Well, then you have to buy a suit and tie, right? Or the job might supply, but you still got to maintain and keep it clean on that. If you're a guy. If you're a woman, obviously, a female attire for the work. But the point is that it's not, it requires, things to do the job, right? It's not free, right? It's not just something you just casually do whenever you feel like it. So relationships are like jobs. And you have to look at it as such, that hierarchy. The man is your employer, right? He's the one who's going to have the resources. He's going to be the one who has the stuff you don't have, right? If you have it, all right, well, you have what you have. That's great. But if you want to use what he has, want to use his resources, you want to use his car instead of your own, you want to use his money instead of your own, you want to spend time in his house instead of your own, and the list goes on and on. Well, he has to be in charge, right? You got to let him be in charge, because that's the position that he's in. He's the boss. So as such, you have to behave and act accordingly, as in an employee to a boss, where you're led, where he's making decisions and stuff like that. And if you want to be part of what he's doing, right? If he's going on a vacation and you want to be part of it, then you have to be able to do the things that's necessary to be part of it. And especially if he's paying for it and whatnot, you gotta be able to follow the guidelines necessary to do this activity. If you're going on a date and he wants you to wear a dress, and normally you don't, but for this activity, that is the requirement, the guideline, right? It's required for you to have a dress for this situation, and he's willing to provide the dress. That makes things easier, right? He's willing to provide the dress, so you just need to provide the wearing of the dress, right? The dress is your uniform for this activity, just like a job. You gotta wear appropriate attire for appropriate activity. You gotta wear the right clothing. You're not gonna it's like your job is, let's say your job is cleaning toilets, right? Your janitorial. It wouldn't make sense for you to wear a clown costume to clean toilets, or wear a dinner dress to clean toilets, right? It just doesn't make sense to wear things that don't match what you're doing. So you obviously want to wear the appropriate attire for the appropriate situation. So you have to understand that that's a thing. I don't typically wear a lot of suits and ties. I mean, I do wear button shirts. I'm not really much of a tie guy, but I'll wear it. But button shirts, slacks, that kind of stuff. So I do wear, clothing not too different from a business suit or a tuxedo, right? So if I have to wear a tux or something, it wouldn't be that much of a problem because I already wear things similar to it. But I do prefer jeans and t-shirts and stuff, basic stuff. But I know that I can't wear what I want to wear in every setting, so I have to wear an appropriate attire. You know, just like at work, I gotta wear my uniform for work. I gotta wear what is expected of me for the position that I'm in. Same goes for being in a relationship. You have roles and positions and duties and tasks that you need to be able to do within the relationship. So that's why you have to look at the relationship as a job. Now, we all know most of us hate our jobs, yeah. And that's what's so interesting is I'll see people complain about their job, right? Complain about how they hate their job. And I just, and me and most of my friends are like, okay, we get it. You hate your job. Most people do. That's fine, right? It's understandable. The job is not for you. You're not, since it's not for you, you don't like the job, which means it's not for you. It's not your dream job, obviously. Then you need to move along, right? Find your dream job. Do better. But the fact that you're still at this job, and you spent 2 years at this job complaining for those 2 years that you hate the job, is like, that don't make no sense. You had 2 years to try to find a new job. You weren't born to do that job that you're doing that you hate, for you to be like, oh, I hate this job. You know, there's people who be like, oh, I hate my life. Yeah, okay, you hate your life. All right, then create a new one. Do something better. Change your environment. Go somewhere else and do something different. If you hate being a basketball player, for example, but you like baseball, then go play baseball. Why are you still doing something you don't like? Why are you still wasting time doing something you don't like? Why are you still involved in something that you don't like? You know, it's better to end something sooner than later. And the thing is, most women, I'm gonna say it, out of selfishness, will stay in a relationship that in the first couple of weeks was already, you know, there was red flags, right? It was already like, yeah, this is not really what I want. You know, it was nice at first, but you know, there's all these extra things that I found out that I don't like. It's like, you know what, this is not what I thought it was. Yeah, of course, because most women, when they see a guy they like and they're interested in the guy and they try to get in a relationship with the guy, they usually in their mind imagine how the relationship's going to be. So they create in their mind the perfect ideal version of what the relationship is going to look like. So when the actual relationship happens, right, and she's actually, you know, living the relationship in real life, she realizes it's not like her fantasy relationship, the one that she put in her head. You know, there's women who, in my life, thought I had a certain type of lifestyle or I did things a certain type of way, and they treated me as such. I use this as an example. I've had some women, they thought that I was like a player, like you know, that, you know, I break women's hearts, I play with their emotions or something. Like I just like chasing girls or something. Like, whoa, I don't, where you got that idea from? You know, at the time they were like, you know, they thought like, you know, I'm a player. You know, I just want to have sex with women, and I have sex with multiple women. It's like, whoa, that's incorrect. Kind of flattered if you think that I'm just having sex with a whole bunch of women, but no, I'm a virgin, and you're incorrect with that assumption. Assuming that I've had sex with multiple women. Like, no, I haven't even had sex with one woman yet. Yet you're assuming that I have sex with multiple women. I'm flattered that I appear to be that type of guy that has a lot of sex. And after I told them that, they were like, wait, but when we were talking, you said some stuff and this and that. Like, but only guys who had sex would know this. And like, no, I'm a smart guy. See, now you're insulting my intelligence. I watch porn. So of course I know, you know, what the female body looks like and certain things. Like, I'm educated. I did have sex ed. Like, I literally learned about the female reproductive system in middle school and high school. Like, they taught that in school. You know, they taught how to put on a condom and stuff like that. I don't have to have sex to know about sex, because I literally was given I was literally taught about sex in school. Like, there was already boys and girls having sex in school. So you heard things. You heard guys talk about, you know, oh yeah, I had sex with this girl and this, that, and third, you know, and that type of stuff. So all I was saying in the conversations I had with these women was stuff that I heard other guys talking about, from their experiences. So I was speaking from other guys' experiences, not from my own personal experience. So I can understand you thought I had experience in something just because I can talk the talk. But the thing is that I never walked the walk at that time, right? So there's the misunderstandings. Like, okay, I'm glad, that, I presented myself as a knowledgeable, experienced guy, but I didn't experience it, right? So I was only speaking from secondhand experiences, not from my own personal experience. So that was a thing, right? So and it happens a lot, and that's the thing. Women tend to assume things a lot. So it's like I never directly told them like, yeah, I get laid all the time. I'm that type of guy. No, they just assume just by looking at it. And that's weird, right? They assume it. So I didn't even lie to them. They lied to themselves. And it was just one woman. It was, a group of women who all believed the same thing. They were all surprised to find out that, like, no, I don't have sex with a whole bunch of women. I'm flattered. Do you think that I can? Considering the fact that I'm right here, right now, and in my own little, what's called a harem, my little group of women right here that I'm having a conversation, and y'all, we're all talking about, things we like and sex and stuff like that, Well, clearly y'all find me attractive. I'm flattered. But it was just so funny, the idea, like, okay, y'all assumed something about me that wasn't true. And it has happened multiple times, and it was always a problem. There was even a scenario where there was a woman who really, really liked me, but she was a white woman, but she thought I only like women. Not that I like women in general, just that I like black women specifically. And because of that, her and me never got together. She never made herself available for her and me to get together. So she was a little surprised that I liked her in return. So that was a little weird. She liked me, but because she thought that I liked, a woman of a different race, or women of different race, that no way I could like her in return. It's like, damn, that's kind of harsh, because that's an assumption. You didn't know that as a fact. Never asked me. It was never a thing. You assumed it was. Right. So that right there is the whole lying to yourself scenario. It's like, that's unfortunate, because I really did like her. And hey, you never know what could have happened. I could be married to her right now, right? But she assumed something that, made that a problem. Then there'll be women that, that I'll approach and, let them know I like them, and then they'll act like they don't like me in return. It's like, all right, fine, so you still, right? I'm not your type. That's okay. And then, like, months later, maybe a year later, they'll admit they had a crush on me the whole time. Like, wow, really? So you hurt my feelings all those months ago. Talking about I'm not your type. The worst thing you could do is say ill. Like, okay, that was that was extreme. But then later turn out like you have a crush on me. Like, wait, you had a crush on me. That's way above ill, or I'm not your type. You have a crush on me. Like, that's pretty big. Yet I get the ill or I'm not your type response when I was making myself available. And the funny thing is that guys are usually expected to make the move, expected to approach the female, right? And that's why it's weird when I can tell you like me. The only reason I approached and said anything is because I can tell you like me. But when I did approach you, immediately I got these inappropriate responses to me. You didn't even try to let me down per se, in a positive way. You didn't try to make a logical excuse that can justify us not, being together. Instead, it was just straight negativity. And then later on, it turns out that you would have loved to have been a relationship with me, but you ruined it when I literally gave you the opportunity to have a relationship. I was willing to be with you, but you ruined it. Why? For what reason? What's the point? You're only hurting yourself because you clearly was interested. I was also equally interested, so why not? You know, the thing with like relationships and dating is that the funny thing about dating is essentially an interview, a prolonged interview, but it's an interview, right? And then eventually, when y'all go steady and you make it a permanent thing, right? Then it's a job, right? It's a job. You know expect to see you every week, right? You know, expect you to to be ready to work, as they say. You know, interact and have a relationship. You know, and that's the thing. Since a relationship is a job, you know, you have to work. You have to use the skills and capabilities and be available, be on time, and this, that, and third, and the list goes on and on for this relationship. It's no different from like a friendship, right? The idea that like in a friendship, if your friends want to spend time, normally you want to make time for spending time for your friends, right? You know, that's only logical. Same thing with a relationship. You need to make the time. And the fact that you chose to be in a relationship, that means you agreed to spend a lot of time in the relationship. Not necessarily spend a lot of time with the other person, but spend a lot of time in the relationship. Spend a lot of time trying to do what you feel is necessary or what you know is necessary to make sure the relationship is good. The partnership, this relationship, is in sync and everything is working out nicely. Like for example, exercising, being healthy, learning new skills, maybe asking your significant other information. Asking your man, questions about his hobbies, likes and dislikes, and get to know him better, right? So that way you can do your job right better, right? So you can better perform because you know what the job entails, right? The relationship. You understand what is expected, what to expect. The more you know about how your man lives his life, the better it would be for you to be able to be part of it, to be able to integrate yourself into the routines of the man. But a lot of times I notice women have a habit of they're so used to doing things their way whenever they feel like it. They tend to go off of their feelings of when they do things instead of having a preset schedule. That when they get with a man has a preset schedule where it's like, oh, I wake up 6 a.m. and I go jog and I do this, I do that. Then I go over here and hang out with my homies for like 2 hours. Then I go over here and help out my friends or my family or something. Like I go help out my mom for like an hour or two, and then I go do my night shift or something, like whatever. Like, and then on my days off, I just mainly like to stay home and chill. So if you want to spend time with me, that's probably the most optimal time will be when my days off. Instead of trying to hang out with me after I get off of work, because I'll obviously be tired. It'd be better to on my days off that's when we spend the time, and work on that schedule and stuff. Make sure you're on sync, you're on the same page, because like the person, right? Like the guy, you want to be part of his life. So that's the thing. You're supposed to be part. You're supposed to add to his life. Not supposed to subtract from his life. Not supposed to try to change his life. It is his life. And if you're really interested in him, one, you're supposed to, especially when you start dating and start getting to know him, you're supposed to ask questions to get to know him, like know, how he lives his life, to see if you want to be part of it or not. Because if it turns out, because you didn't ask questions, right, it turns out, like, let's say he's some type of like drug lord or something, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship with a drug lord. Well, you should have asked early. You should have tried to figure out if he was a drug lord or not, or whatever he is, the CEO of a company. You'd be like, oh no, I don't really want to be the wife of a CEO of a company or something. It's like, okay, that would have been important for you to find out early before, the relationship got to a certain point where it's like, wait, you're a CEO of a company? Make so much money and that's why I barely see you? I thought you were cheating on me. Which is why we don't spend that much time. Like, no, I got a company, I work hard and listen. Don't you remember? I think I told you that. And there's a possibility that, it just didn't come up in conversation because maybe the conversations were more of this sexual nature that these important details didn't come up. But that's why you're supposed to ask. It's the same thing as like when you know, job interview, you ask, you know, the salary, right? You ask how much you're gonna be making, you know, the hours. Is there overtime? You're supposed to, you know, try to get to know what this position, this job is going to entitle, what's it's going to be. What because you want to know your benefits. Remember, like I said, it's like it's a job. Relationship or jobs, and you know you do get benefits, right? You do get certain perks about for being in this relationship. So you want to know what those perks are. Is there an allowance, right? You know, is there travel benefits? Is there, you know, health benefits, right? Is there you know, social benefits, like, you know, being able to interact with certain types of people otherwise you want to be able to, you know, I already said travel. You know, is there food benefits, right? Right? Is there pay my bills benefits, and the list goes on and on. You want to know what you are more likely to get out of the relationship that you're, you know, trying to get into, and also what you bring to the relationship. Because in my first episode, you know, wife resume, but this is when you get to the wife category. I'm only talking about like relationships or jobs. You know, wife, you know, is the next step, of course. That's the long-term relationship, and that's a career. So being a wife is a career. Just being a girlfriend, that's just a, you know, job. But being a wife, that's a career. So that's slightly different. But I just want to start off with the basics, because most women don't transition from single, aka unemployed, to having a job, right? Aka being in a relationship, let alone a career, aka being a wife. So when you look at it in that category, in that concept, single is unemployed or self-employed, however way you want to look at it, right? And then, you know, being in a relationship, that's a job. But being married, that's a career. That's something you'll do for life. That's something that will have meaning, purpose. That's something that, you know, that can benefit the world. You know, obviously having kids definitely benefit the world. You know, and that's the thing. That's the way it's supposed to be. The whole marriage thing, you know, getting married and stuff like being a wife and a husband scenario, that's about contributing to the human population. That's contributing to the world by y'all getting together, having kids, raising those kids to be the next generation. If we believe that humans right now are shitty, then let's start making new ones, aka babies, and raise them to be better than the shitty human beings we already have. That way, when the shitty human beings we already have get old and die, which will happen, the good human beings that we created will take over. They'll replace us, shitty human beings, right? And then we'll have really awesome human beings in this world. Would we like awesome human beings to exist right now? Yes, that would be ideal. But that's not what has happened in the past, you know, hundreds of years. You know, humans were relatively shitty, then they got really good, then they started getting shitty again, then they got really good, and then they started getting shitty again, right? Now, technology has been improving over time, so things gotten easier and easier, which should make everyone get along easier and happy, but, you know, making things easier makes people more shittier, because then they don't appreciate things as much, you know, as they used to. You know what I mean? Like, for example, it's easier to be a wife. You know, it's easier to be a wife, right? There's a lot of tools and stuff like that to be a wife. So it's easy to be a wife, but also it's easy to be a girlfriend, right? You know, you have all these options and benefits that you didn't used to have. You know, with the internet, it's easier for you to find, you know, employment, aka relationship, a man. You know, you can shop around, and it's okay to shop around, you know, to look, but, you know, start figuring out, you know, what you want, and then start applying, aka dating, right? Start applying to these guys, right? Start getting, you know, out there and being seen and known, and start getting to know these guys, and go from there. Ultimately, something that is important is that, you know, since children, right, supposed to be a product of marriage. Listen to that term, product, right? Supposed to be a product of marriage. That is usually the best time the scenario to be in for children. Try to avoid, creating children, right? During the relationship, just having a job part, right? Definitely try to avoid that during the unemployment or self-employed situation, right? You rather be in a career type situation if you're having children. If you look at it financially, it's better to have a career where you can afford to take care of a child than to be unemployed trying to take care of a child, if that makes sense, right? And you don't want to have and of course, being in a career is better than being in a regular job trying to take care of kids. So financially, when you think of it that way, having a kid outside of wedlock, it's like having a kid when you have a minimum wage job or you're unemployed. It's going to be very hard to take care of that child financially in that category. So you're better off being in a career, trying to take care of a kid, aka a marriage. So this is more about trying to get to that goal, because that should be the goal, right? I do hear women a lot be talking about the idea of career. Oh, my career, It's like, okay, but ironically, marriage was a career. It's something you do for a long, long time. There's a lot of benefits to it financially, right? Personally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever you want to add to it. And then there's the factor that that you're creating the next generation, right? When you have kids, someday you'll die and they'll replace you, and then they'll be on this planet and they'll be living this life, right? So you're supposed to make sure that they can live a good life, and the best way for them to live a good life is for them to learn how to live a good life from you, which means you need to do better at making decisions when it comes to relationships, aka jobs. You need to pick a better job, a job that's best suited for you, a job that you are qualified for. Stop thinking just, that it sounds cool to say you're a marketing, a social media marketer at a company just because it sounds cool. Stop trying to grab things that just sound cool and just label yourself there. Like just attach yourself to that. Like, oh, I'm the vice president of some type of company or something. Like, I'm not saying these are bad things. I'm just saying it's like, don't chase a title. Represent the title. That's what I'm saying. Don't try to chase the title of a wife, but don't qualify to be a wife. Don't do the wife duties. Don't perform as a wife. There's people out there calling themselves CEOs. But CEO of what? What you're the chief executive officer of? What company are you running? What business? Who are you paying? Who are your employees? For you to say you're a CEO, but then you have no employees, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like a CEO. A CEO has people that work for them, and they work, and the CEO works, to solve as many problems they can to make the workload and the jobs of their employees easier, and also be able to give them tasks, be able to, come up with a plan, so it's like, it's just weird that some people chase titles because they like the way it sounds. Like, I used to hear this dumb stuff where like guys talk about, like, yeah, I'm a soldier. It's like, oh, you served in the military? Nah, man, I'm just tough. I'm a soldier. No, you're not. You're not a soldier. And you're definitely not tough, because if you were tough, you would literally be a soldier. You would join the military and serve and be tough. You're not really tough. You're just out here in the streets with a gun thinking you're a tough guy. Like, no, you're weak and pathetic. But whatever, right? So don't chase the title. Become the title, right? If you believe you're a boss, then become a boss. Be an actual boss. Create something that requires you to be in charge, and you are benefiting other people because you created something that other people can benefit from, like a business, right? And you're in charge, and you're making sure that everyone benefits from. You're making sure that the business is successful, that it will last for many, many years. It will generate revenue, and your employees, right, benefit from it, right? Not only that, also society, because maybe your business is providing a service to the neighborhood that you're in, or just the world in general. It's important that if you want to be the boss, you got to do what bosses do. You can't just be, oh, I'm the boss, which means I tell people what to do, and I sit on my ass, do nothing, but I get a paycheck. Like, that's not being a boss. That's being a freeloader. That's being lazy. That's being an asshole. That's not being a boss. A boss tends to work harder, longer hours. Bosses tend to be more stressed than their employees. The reason why is because they're trying to solve all their employees' problems. They're trying to make their employees' job easier, so that way their employees only have to focus on certain specific tasks, certain basic things like typing or delivering things or whatever. Like, focus on those small details. But you, as a boss, you gotta know everything. You gotta know who's typing. You gotta know who's delivering stuff. You gotta know who's answering phone calls. And then you gotta move those pieces around. But you gotta know play the game. Being a boss is like being a chess master, right? It's not enough to just have the pieces and sit in front of a chessboard. You gotta know how to play chess. You gotta know how to move the pieces around. You need to know how to get the most out of your pawns, out of your queens and kings and rooks and stuff. You gotta know what you're doing. You can't just be like, oh, I'm the boss. Look at me sitting here with all my chess pieces. I'm the best. Like, no, you gotta be able to perform. So that's the thing. Many women are looking for the title, like, oh yeah, I'm such and such girlfriend, and then leave it at that. But they don't do the girlfriend duties. They don't perform for the job that they're in, which is the relationship. Right? A lot of times they forget this. Like, the man's supposed to, when it comes to relationship, right, he's supposed to provide the financial capabilities and the resources and the opportunities for the relationship to exist, right? So the foundation. The woman is supposed to work within that foundation. Supposed to make sure that the relationship works. She's supposed to make sure that he doesn't forget their anniversary type stuff, right? That he is available for going on a date or something, like making sure that things line up, that y'all both on the same path, on the same page when it comes to what y'all doing. Can't be in a situation where, like, you wanted to go out to see a movie around 8 o'clock at night, but he's working. You know what I mean? Or it's important for y'all to make sure y'all communicate, and y'all know what each other is doing, so that way y'all can link up y'all schedules, right? If you want to go to the movie theaters, but he has to work late at night because of work related stuff, for example, then you got to be able to work it out. I mean, the worst thing you can do is get mad, be unhappy that he couldn't not work and go to watch the movies with you. But the only way he could afford for y'all to go watch the movie is if he does what he does at work to make the money to be able to afford the movie, because the movie's not free. Just like life is not free, right? So he has to work to make a lot of money so he can provide a life for you and him. And if y'all married, the children, you got to be able to help him in ways that makes it easier for him to be able to live his life, because he's too busy eat, sleep, and work. Eat, sleep, work. You need to make sure that you take care of everything else that would prevent him from being able to relax, to be able to go to a vacation, go on a date or movie or whatever, or just spend time with you. You gotta make sure you make it easy for those things to happen, because you're managing, the chaos of his life, right? Because he has a preset schedule of things he has to do, and sometimes something might pop up, and you need to be able to try to help, right? You're trying to take as much of his workload off of him as much as possible, So that way there's a balance. That way he can do what he normally does, and you're taking care of anything extra, anything that comes out of nowhere. Like if y'all got kids, right? One of the kids gets sick, she got to take him to the hospital, right? You know, and take care of that. It'd be wrong for her to call you and tell you, oh, our son is sick, blah, 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 come home. It's like, damn, want me to leave work early to go take our son to the hospital? You can already have done that, but you want me to do it instead. It's not helping. That's just creating another problem. It's creating more work for me. And if I can't leave, then it becomes a problem, right? Because the child's sick and the child needs to get to the hospital and this and that. There's like, you're supposed to make things easier, not harder. Just like you want things to be easier for you in your life, your man will do his best to make your life easier. But all he asks in return is pretty much the same thing. Do what you can to make his life easier. He's not asking you to do too much. He's not asking you to do more than he does. He's just asking you to do enough that you matter. That you're like, oh, that when he sees you, is like, that's my girl right there. That's my baby. It's the love of my life. That's my rock. That's my queen. That's my, my boss ass bitch. That's my badass bitch. Whatever term you like, want him to see you in a certain way, you gotta represent that. Want him to see you as a boss, you better do boss things. You better be managing the house like a boss, making sure everything is running smoothly in the household if you want to be the boss, right? That's the thing. Too many people just love the idea of calling themselves something because it makes them feel special. It's like a random dude who barely lifts weights calling himself Superman. I'm Superman. I'm super strong. No, you're not. You don't even lift weights. You're skinny and you're weak. You're weaker than the average woman. Yet you're talking about you're Superman? That don't make no sense. So that's the thing. It's like, if you're going to label yourself something, you better be that something. If you're going to label yourself a queen, you better act like one. Not just act. We're talking about you better perform. Let me rephrase that. You better perform like a queen. You better be able to move mountains. You better be able to make shit happen. Because in a chess game, the queen makes the most moves anyway. She can go anywhere on the board. She can go the distance. She can go from your side all the way to your opponent's side in one move. That's how powerful the queen is. So the queen has to be able to represent and do the most she can with what she got. And her man, her king, right, will do his best to make sure she has what she needs to do what she needs to do and what she does best. And if she truly believes that she's the best, right, she's a badass bitch, or she's a queen and all that stuff, she needs to prove it. She needs to represent. Show your awesomeness, your Wonder Womanness, right, your Superwomanness. Show us, girl power, right? Show us what you can do. Love smart women, but unfortunately, I do not typically see that many smart women. And when I do see a smart woman, oh, it's such a turn on because I'm like, oh shit, there's a unicorn right there. That's a very rare breed. Woman that's smarter than the average woman, and definitely up there. She might just be a little bit smarter than me. Definitely love that, but what I don't love, obviously, is a woman who thinks she's smart. Definitely thinks she's smarter than me when she's not. If you're smarter than me, great. I'm a fan of that. But when you're not smarter than me, but you act like you're smarter than me and think you're smarter than me, that's a problem because that's called delusion. And it's like, oh man, here we go. A woman who thinks 2 + 2 = 12 and that's incorrect. I tell her that's wrong, and then I'm wrong. She gets mad at me and tells me I'm wrong for correcting her. It's like, what? No, but you were the one who was wrong. I was just letting you know you were wrong so you can correct it and be right. I'm not telling you you're wrong because I want you to be wrong. I don't want you to be wrong. I want you to be right. I want you to be smart and to know what you're talking about and to know what I'm talking about, to understand things the way I understand it. But if you're not understanding things the way I understand it and you're not on the same page as me. You're not on the same, level as me, intellectually at least. No, you don't have to be physically at my level, but or socially or even financially, but at least be close to my intellectual level. If I have a college level intellect, then I want a college level type of woman. I don't want a kindergarten level woman. I don't want a middle school level intellect woman. I want a woman that's on my level. You know what I mean? Or at least close to it. Because the thing is that I need a woman that can understand me. And I'm all into science and technology and stuff like that. So if I start talking about quantum physics, I want a woman to at least understand what I'm talking about, even if she don't understand the full concept. Because even most guys who know about quantum physics might not understand a lot of my ideas and concepts, because a lot of my ideas and concepts are unique, and you'll classify them as revolutionary, a new way of thinking. Yeah. So I need, so most guys who know about quantum physics won't understand me. So I wouldn't be too surprised a woman wouldn't understand me, but it would be so awesome if she can. Just like if you get hired at a job, it's better for you if you're a fast learner and you can comprehend things easier. The more you know, the more you learn, the more competent you are, and that's important. Competence. If you can understand my instructions, right? You can understand how I think and move and act, and how I behave and how I live my life. So much so that, one, you can suggest improvements for me to, improve myself as a person. That would be, always welcome if you have suggestions for me to improve. But don't be, an asshole. Don't be nitpicky. Don't compare me to someone else. It's like, no. It's like, if you see that, I could improve in something, you can let me know that I could improve in it, and maybe have some suggestions on how I can proceed upon improving in those things. But to use the fact that I could improve as a way to talk down to me, use it as I use the term weaponize, use it as a weapon, a way to punish me for something. Like what did I do? You got me roses, and there were 12 roses, but you should have got me 13 roses, and now I'm mad at you, and now I'm going to use this other thing and weaponize it against you, punish you with it or something. Like, what? That's not logical. It's unfortunate that you want to punish me. Like, you want to hurt me in some way, shape, way, or form. Mostly mental more than physical, but that's the thing. You want to hurt me in a way. You want to hurt me for something, that I shouldn't be getting punished for in the first place. It's like, it's better that we communicate and, get along. If you understand me, that's better than not understanding me and then treating me like I'm a bad person. It's like, when I talk to people, I treat them as if they're at my level of intellect. So when I talk to them about certain ideas or concepts, I expect them to understand. When they don't understand, that's when I have to dumb it down, right? That's when I have to simplify. I say dumb it down, but I mean simplify. I need to simplify it, right? Summarize, as a word, summarize my thoughts in a way that people could understand. Sometimes I'll make references to other things that they could relate. The more I know about my significant other, the better. If I know she likes, let's say she likes poker or something, then I can use poker as an example. Like when I'm making examples, like when I'm trying to tell her something, teach her something, like something she might not know or understand. I'm like, all right, I'll use poker terms to to help you understand what I'm saying, and that tends to work a lot. Sometimes I've had some experiences where doing that method didn't work because for some reason, so surprising, some people just aren't good with even with examples, even with the correlation, like, apples and oranges, right? Apples and oranges comparison. Like, I could, compare the two, right? Apples and oranges in a way that the person should understand, but but they'll be like, oh no, that don't make no sense. Why we talking about apples and oranges? I thought we were talking about who who ate the last cookie or something. It's like, I was trying to relate to you in a way that you could understand why the cat ate the cookie. Some shit like that, right? Like the cat ate the cookie. I already explained, already told you the cat ate the cookie. I literally have video footage from our security camera that the cat ate the cookie. So why are we still having this conversation of who ate the cookie when it was already stated who ate the cookie? And I have video proof who ate the cookie. This conversation should be over, but since you didn't seem to be able to understand none of that, I started talking about apples and oranges, hoping that that would help you understand, but you still didn't understand. And now we're back to this scenario where it's like, yeah, I like you, and I'm trying to be nice, but realistically, you're dumb, and that's not good, because no way have that conversation should have ever went that route. Go from the cat ate the cookie, we have security footage of it, and now I'm talking about apples and oranges, trying to make you understand that the cat ate the cookie, even though we have video footage of it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of level of, like issues. But sometimes that will happen. Like I have those types of conversations with somebody where it's like the original conversation was simple, but then I had to change it to try to make it make sense. But it originally should have already made sense, if that makes sense, right? Just like relationships or jobs, that should make sense. That shouldn't be a complicated idea of that. That's what it is. That a relationship is a job. You work to make a relationship work. Relationships don't work by magic. I've been in a relationship where the person really acted and behaved as if the relationship just works. That she lives her life the way she was always living it before her and me got together, and our relationship would be like perfectly in sync by that situation. It's like, no, we're supposed to make time for each other. We're supposed to try to do things for each other, do things with each other. Like the idea is we're supposed to combine our lives. You're not supposed to do you, I do me, and then sometimes we hang out. It's like, that's not a relationship. That's essentially just a friendship. It's like, yeah, whenever we do have time to hang out, we might hang out. The whole I'll see you later, but you should never be in a situation where you're with your husband, your man or woman, be in a see you later type of situation. It's like, no, you're supposed to make plans and time to see each other. I remember there was some awkward situations where she should have been alone, or her and me should have been alone, but then her son was there, some other stuff, and it's like, yeah, this is it's kind of weird, and I'm not the one who's creating these scenarios. I'm trying to create a scenario where we get to, be ourselves and, talk to each other and get to know each other, but she always was throwing in extra variables, doing extra stuff. Like she'll want to hang out at my friend's house because and it's like, I can understand the reasoning for it is that she doesn't want to be alone with me she doesn't want to be alone with me, but it seems a little weird at the same time. It's like, why don't you? Considering the fact that a lot of our conversations usually involve the idea of you and me being alone in the first place. And ironically, she's the one who initiates the sexy time conversations. Like most of our conversations about sex, right? So, but she's the one who's initiating. I'm the one who's like asking her questions about like her favorite color or type of food or something, trying to get to know her as a person. But she keeps, wanting to talk about, sexy time. But it's like, okay, I'm not against that, but that does require us to be together alone for that to even happen. So, until that happens, it's talking about it is irrelevant. Why talk about sexy time when we could just have it? We could just make time and have sexy time if that's what you want. If that's not what you want, which I don't believe that's not what you want, it is weird to put me in a situation where You could have had the time, but you deliberately added factors to the situation to make it where it's like, okay, we're just hanging out. This is like we're not together at this point. We're just at the same place at the same time. That's not the way it works. But oh well. Again, like I said, relationships are jobs, and yeah, make sure you come to work. You're ready for work. Get your resumes, girls. Get your resumes. Figure out what you bring to the table.